everyone, and welcome back to People Jew Want to Know podcast. Let me tell you, I have what feels like the episode of a lifetime today. I am bringing on Moti Rosenfeld and his partner and spouse, Leo Veiga. When I started this podcast 5 or 6 months ago, if you asked me who was my top guests, I would say Rabbi Manis Friedman and Moti. And it's such a privilege to have Moti on along with his partner, Leo. Here's a little background on both of them if you are not familiar. Moti Rosenfeld is an Israeli-American comedian who's probably the top Jewish comic today. He's been touring all over the world recently, and his shows always sell out. Moti has been called the next Jackie Mason, and his comedy is beloved by both Orthodox and secular Jews alike. His comedy gathered a ton of attention around the pandemic when Moti started releasing videos of his material on social media with the help of his husband, Leo. Personally, I found out about Moti through TikTok when his bit about the difference between Ashkenazi and Sephardic Jews on Shabbat went viral. With that said, Moti has actually been doing comedy for decades. And beyond touring with stand-up comedy, he had been in The Sopranos in 2002, as well as a semifinalist on the 4th season of Last Comic Standing. I watched back a short video of his set from Last Comic Standing and some of his older material from the early 2000s. What I gleaned is he wasn't always a comic that had Jewish material. However, his demeanor, it has never changed. His stage presence is loudly and proudly Jewish. Now, he has focused his material on mostly Jewish-related things, but it's fascinating to watch footage and watch his evolution. As some of you may know, I took a stand-up comedy class at The Cellar, and I have my set that's available on Spotify. Moti's jokes and delivery style are a perfect example of what I tried to emulate in my 5-minute set. In fact, when I studied for the class, I would watch his videos to gauge what it was about his demeanor that made me laugh. It's the matter-of-factness, the harsh but fair, that I really wanted to bring into my set, and for that I have to thank Moti. Coming back from my tangent here, I'll add that Leo, Moti's husband, after helping Moti go viral on social media, transitioned into working with Moti on all of his shows. They are a very powerful duo. They do everything together, and there is no Moti without Leo. Apart from the fact that this is just like the most romantic thing ever, on this episode, I get to pick their brain on working together, what that experience is like, and you have a chance to learn a little bit about Leo. Moti also has a podcast called And Here's Moti, and I listen to it pretty regularly. I don't listen to a ton of podcasts now, but even before I had my own, I religiously listened to Moti's. Once again, I learned a lot just from seeing how Moti executes the episodes, how he leads the conversations, etc. Like, I am telling you, I owe a lot to this man, and he does not even know it. I don't know what you guys will think listening to the episode. I thought I really kept my cool, but inside, I was not cool. I was so excited and happy and probably blacked out at some point. Anyway, on their podcast over time, Leo has really developed as a character and says the funniest things. Leo is so quick and witty, and it's not surprising at all that Moti and Leo are together. You'll see a little bit of that in today's episode as well. Now, Leo isn't Jewish. We talk about the fact that Leo lives a very Jewish life, but he doesn't come from a Jewish family and wasn't raised Jewish. And as you all know, I have always been very strict about dating only Jewish people myself. And seeing Moti and Leo's relationship is honestly making me wonder if I'm wrong on that. Moti said this in the episode, but Leo has done more for the Jewish people than some Jews have done for the Jewish people, and I couldn't agree more. I just wanted to point this out because when I was recording, it was a moment for me that was like, and I gotta think on it harder. The other thing I'll call out about this episode that also made me think a little bit and chuckle is Moti says that he and Leo like to go dancing. He mentions it in this episode in the context of the Nova Music Festival, but I've seen other podcasts and videos where Moti will say that him and Leo like to go clubbing and dancing in the city. However, I have never seen a video of Moti dance. Has anyone ever seen a video of Moti dance? I don't know, but Moti, we want to see. This is prime content, low-hanging fruit, and we need to see a video of you dancing. Okay, I don't even want to spoil any more for you, but this episode is really a little bit of everything. What I'll leave this intro with is a huge, sincere thank you to Moti and Leo for giving me the privilege of their time and the honor of sharing a part of their stories with all of you. Please enjoy this episode. Modi, Leo, hello and welcome to People Jew Want to Know podcast. How are you today?
I am great. How are you?
Great. I'm so excited to do this. I have so many questions planned, and I guess let's hit it off. What have you been up to these days? What are Modi and Leo working on?
We are touring. I am a touring comedian that we're doing shows that Leo produces with our agent at UTA, and we just got back from last night. We were in Charlotte, North Carolina. We're going to Israel on Thursday for a show in Jerusalem. We have shows in Nashville and Zurich, and we're selling out the Palladium, the Beacon, touring comedian. On top of that, we're still doing our podcast. We are releasing clips from my special, Know Your Audience, which is on YouTube for everybody to watch, and also Amazon. Comedy, performing comedy all over the world, bringing laughter to people after October 7th. And that's it. Anything to add, Leo?
No, I think you got it.
Okay.
Okay, I feel like I'm making this up, but I swear you were supposed to have a show yesterday at the Cellar.
I was. I had a show last night at the Cellar. The night before that, I was in Charlotte, North Carolina.
I got you. So how'd that go? How is it performing in New York these days? Because, I mean, it's a little uncomfy with all the anti-Semitism happening. What did you think of the crowd?
The crowd was great, but it was my crowd. It was a show that was that I booked for me to work out my new hour that I'm working on for the tour that is called Pause for Laughter. You have to work it out somewhere. So I took the room, the Village Underground, which is a part of the Comedy Cellar, and I did an hour. So I didn't have anybody there that wasn't like a fan. You know, it wasn't a regular Comedy Cellar show. It was my fans. So there wasn't any heckling, if that's what you were asking.
Yeah, so that sounds like all good vibes. Yeah. And I guess that kind of brings me to my first question. Right now feels like the golden age of Modi. Coming out of the pandemic, when all of your material got picked up by social media, which you and Leo talk about at great length, like the power that social media has brought to helping spread the word and introduce, especially the Jewish community, to your comedy. But you've been around for years. Like, it must be like 20 plus years at this point. I've seen your videos from the early 2000s. With completely different material where you're performing.
We call that
stage.
Before Leo and after Leo.
Yeah, exactly. So as you're reflecting, what do you think you've learned about comedy and this craft? What are you finding?
You can't do it alone. You've got to have the right team in place, the right Leo in place. You've got to have a Leo and you've got to have a team. You can be the funniest person on earth if no one is able to hear it and receive it and get that information. You're funny for 20 people, not for 200,000 people or 2 million people.
Okay, so then Leo, did you ever think you would work with your partner and spouse? What is that experience like?
No, I don't think. It just kind of happened organically. I kind of started just helping him organize his email inbox one day, and then slowly snowballed into, okay, I'll send this contract, or I'll book this plane ticket, and I'll produce this show. And then it ended up with, now I've directed your special and produced the last tour. So it's something that happened over time. We've been together 9 years this month. We started working together, I would say, 3 years ago?
3 years ago, yeah. Yeah.
So there was a whole chunk of time where we didn't work together, but now I can't remember, sounds like it's hard for me to even remember that now, because I just feel like we've been doing this forever.
Yeah. The days are very packed and filled with, today we have 4 different podcasts. You're one of them. It's like that. And then we have meetings, and then we have
travel days, show days.
Although the sound keys are right, and meetings with all kinds of scripted, unscripted people. And we find that it's easier to work together rather than to come home at the end of the day and explain to your partner what you've been doing. It's like we lived the day together. Now we can just go home and
we don't have to come home and be like, can you believe this happened? Or, oh my gosh, this happened. My boss did this. We don't have any of that. We've just been in this. We've been having the same day because we've been together all day. So we know what's going on.
Yeah.
What do you think has made it successful? Because I feel like if you take the average couple, working with your spouse would actually be detrimental. I had a Jewish matchmaker on a couple of weeks ago, and she was saying I had to become a matchmaker because Shayna TB.
Okay.
She said I switched my career to become a matchmaker so that I didn't have to work with my husband.
It's not for everyone. I mean, it's tricky and it's something that you just have to be self-aware of. I mean, there are very intense days that we have when we're touring on the road. You know, some days we're waking up at 6 in the morning to take an 8 a.m. flight to land, to go to a theater, to do sound check, then the meet and greet, then, you know, then we end at like 11:30, 12. We go to the room and order room service. And
Yes, lots of room
you,
service.
you know, and it's a long, intense day, and you have a lot of interactions within that day of a million different people, and some of them are beautiful, great interactions with fans, and you get to learn about them, and oh my gosh, you get to hear them tell Modi, oh, you helped me get through the pandemic. I haven't laughed since my mother died. All these beautiful things, but then there's also, like, you know, sometimes logistical, stressful things happen, and you have to just, you know, when we have an intense day, sometimes I'll look at Modi and I'll be like, you know, that was an intense day, right? And he's like, yes, okay, that's it. We move on. But we're good at it.
Yes.
I think in some sense you created the blueprint of like how to have a partnership as a comedian, because I know that that's something that a lot of comedians struggle with, because it's late nights, it's a 24/7 job, it's a lot of hustling, gigs, buses, travel, and a lot of partnerships don't withstand that. And you've created this like framework for success, which is very unique and probably one of its kind in the Jewish community. So you're the first in the Jewish community, I'd say.
Let me just clarify that statement that we've never taken a bus and we never will take a bus. um, we are in, we only fly business, for those of you tuning in. No, it's actually funny that you brought that up, because there are other comedians whose partner is very involved in what they do. And it's because of, like what you said, that it's an all-in job and it's very late nights and you kind of, it never stops. So I think in order for performers and artists, it's not just comedians, whether they're a musician or someone working in the arts, you know, for them to have a successful romantic partner, that partner has to be all in on the journey. But there are other comedians that we know of whose partners are either behind the scenes or they're very much running their whole business as their manager. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
Leo, there's something I've been wanting to ask you, especially after October 7th. I remember listening to like an older episode on the podcast that you guys run, and Here's Modi, and you talked about how, I feel like I'm going to butcher this, but you had said either you tried to manifest who you were going to meet or you like went to a psychic or something, and you knew like intuitively that you were going to meet someone who has a faith. You didn't necessarily know that it was going to be someone that was Jewish, but you wanted someone who had some kind of belief system or a faith, even if it's not the one that you grew up with. And I think it's such a historic time for our generation. And now your whole life is like the Jewish community in some sense. You're in it, okay? You're in the thick of it. What are you finding?
Yeah, so the first part of that, I mentioned it in a few podcasts, that before I met Modi, I said out loud to myself, if I'm going to be in a relationship, I want these three things. One is they should be spiritual, they should be funny, and they should be culturally different from me in a way that I can sort of learn from. And I got a Jewish Israeli comedian. So you have to be very careful with your intentions and manifestations, I guess. But yeah, I myself am not Jewish. I now operate in a very Jewish bubble. I know a lot of the vocab. I know a lot of the holidays. I feel like I'm pretty culturally Jewish at this point. What do you say, Modi? I mean,
Culturally, and also you've taken some of the teachings onto you, you know. You've been to the big Rebbe's graves and you've felt what the energy is, and it's become a part of you.
I think also it's like being Jewish it's a religion of deed, not creed. Being Jewish is a lifestyle. It's what you do. It's the mitzvahs that you take on, the values by which you live by. So when you meet someone, you don't gauge if they're Jewish by asking, oh, like, do you believe in God? Do you believe that there is one God? You ask them, oh, do you celebrate Shabbat? Do you do things? Do you take actions? So we live a Jewish lifestyle by the actions that we do, not so much by what we think or what we believe. And in that sense, yeah, you are very Jewish because you live very much a Jewish life.
Yes.
I think I'm what they call a righteous Gentile. What is it, Modi?
A righteous Gentile, yes. Leo has done more for the Jewish people than many Jews have done. He's created shows for them. He's put their butts into seats. He's sent videos to them when they're sick and all kinds of things of that nature. And it's just an amazing partner for the Jewish comedian. It's without him, it wouldn't manifest to where it's gone to and going.
So what do you think now, looking at the community post October 7th, and kind of also having access to a lot of non-Jewish people that you've known your whole life? What do you find after October 7th? What are your reflections?
We were doing shows the Monday after the Saturday of the war. We were in Paris. We had 4 shows sold out, and we had to make a decision amongst ourselves. Do we go on? And me and Leo together decided, yes, we were going to continue the shows, and thank God we did. The shows were packed and sold out. People had traveled from all over Europe to Paris for these shows, and we were performing for an audience that was watching the war in real life, in real time. And then the curtain goes up and the lights go out and there's a comedian in front of them. And here's Modi, literally the title of the podcast. And at the end of every show since October 7th, I've been singing Hatikva at the end. And people are like, it relieves them from that feeling of, I can't believe we're laughing at this time. But you need that laughter. You need that laughter. And the new tour that we have coming out is called Pause for Laughter. You just take a pause. You have to take a little bit of a break from all that you're watching on social media and laugh.
Leo, what do you think on seeing, I don't know, it's got to be thousands of Jews at this point, post-October 7th, that you've met all over the world?
It's been amazing to see Modi do what he does as a performer and as an entertainer in this, crazy time, to say the least. And I'm always in awe of him. I don't know how he does it sometimes. And I think people are really appreciative and they're really grateful. I just got an email yesterday that says it's so nice to have a comedian who laughs with us and not laughs at us. So I think that's what people are really responding to it.
And switching gears a little bit, I was thinking about this recently, and you've probably interviewed close to 100 people at this point on your podcast, and Here's Modi, and it's friends and people you've known for years, new people that you just meet when you record the podcast, which is kind of similar to what I do on People Do Want to Know, which is I try to find interesting stories of people to bring to the forefront. How do you reflect on these episodes as well? You've met some pretty amazing Jewish people that have had an impact on the community in their own way. What have you learned from them that you want to share here?
You want to have fun with them. First of all, it's so funny. Like my favorite of the interviews were, one of them was Rabbi Manos Friedman, and then Isaac Mizrahi. There's a moment in the Isaac Mizrahi interview where he realized he's just like talking to 2 gays in their hag, and he just like let it go and just had fun with it. And I knew it was going to be like that. Leo was like, I want to ask him questions. What does he think of fashion back then and fashion in New York now? But I was like, no. He just let off, and we let off some steam. And it's really great when you meet when you meet people for the first time on the podcast. Like, I'd never heard of them. I'd never been with them. Leo Periel sent me the information, and we learned about him a little bit. And then they come on, and then here's this personality of this person. You found what you have in common and laughter, and we laugh. We had the family of Omer Shem Tov, one of the hostages, and we were laughing with them. And they're like, we really haven't laughed in so long, but we had laughter with them. And it's just important to laugh. The best is when you can laugh with your guests.
Leo, you got to chime in here too, because I want to get your opinion. So has anyone said anything on the podcast that changed your life? Maybe it was Manos Friedman, maybe it was someone else.
I think my favorite part is just seeing Modi being able to interact with all these different people, like he said, whether they're comedians, whether it's Isaac Mizrahi, whether it's a politician. There's a wide breadth of people who have been on the show, and Modi makes all of them feel like it's just a conversation and you're just kind of like getting to chat with them in like a casual way. And people love it. Like Modi says, people come up to us at the shows. They're like, I love to listen to you while I watch my dog, while I'm cooking dinner. Like, it makes me feel like I'm just hanging out with you guys.
It's a podcast. It's like, it's nothing. We're not battling political frontiers or what's happening. It's a podcast that is, here's the comedian you're watching. Here's the people in his life. They're talking. And we have lots of women that say, I listen to you guys and I just wish I was a gay man. And that's basically, yes, I want to do that too. But I have 5 kids. That's just the vibe. And if I had something to tell you that was really a big takeaway from the podcast was when we did an interview with Matteo Lane, who's like family to us, and he just said, just put your stuff out there. You know, when you're a comedian working in this world of, you know, one
Social
clip goes
media.
viral, social media, you know, at the comedy clubs, they take the phone away now so that people can't record you while you're doing your material, which gives you this breath of like, oh, I can try something new. It might be risky. It might be politically incorrect, but at least it won't be out there the next day on someone's clip. But Matteo said, whatever you have, put it out there. Just put it out there, whatever you do. So we began to just, you know, here's the material. We're going to do it in a special anyway. You have a little seeing of it, and it just brings in people. You have to feed the social media machine. And again, I always feel like anything I have, any good joke I have is not mine. It came from God. So it's not even mine to hold. Just here it is. Here's this joke. It happens to be funny and getting laughs at it. Watch it. Send it to your friends.
I have to add on a side tangent. So you recently had a video come out where somebody was like whispering very loudly at one of your shows, and you shushed them and you said, it sounds like you're whispering on a helicopter.
Yeah.
And I think 10 friends sent that to me and were like, Margarita, this is you. Like, this is what you
are
would
you not
say.
a good,
This
you do
is
not know how to whisper?
No. The opposite. That I would be the person that would call somebody out in an audience to say you're whispering on a helicopter.
Right. Yeah, well, good.
They
See,
know
people
you
share
well.
it.
Yeah.
Modi loves to shush people.
I love to shush people.
It should be quiet at a comedy show.
Yeah, it should be. Yes, they were just, you know, just a little too loud. She was a little drunk probably, and was, you know, having a great time with her friends.
I'm actually working on planning a variety show for the podcast, like a People Jew Want to Know variety show. And I'm working with someone to bring it to life. And he was like, Margarita, just please no comedians, because everybody's going to be talking in the audience and they're going to get so upset.
Why would everyone be talking?
Because it's a crowd of young Jews who are trying to like mingle and schmooze.
No, you can't have a variety show while people are mingling. You have to have them be seated.
There's no mingling. Seated.
Or you do the mingling
seated and no food.
After. Trust me, we do a lot of these.
Seated and no food. You need
no food.
That's what you need to make that show a successful.
Counter to what Jews would want.
Yep.
That's going to get complaints. That will receive a lot of complaints. No food.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, looking into the future now, what do you hope to tell young Jewish people about what's going on today? And Modi, we haven't touched on this yet, and I don't think you touch on it too much, but you are a very learned Jew. You studied the Torah extensively, and you know a lot about interpretation of how certain principles were meant, how we can apply them to our lives in modern time. And some of that does shine on your podcast. You bring it up. Like, I think in a very recent episode, you brought up a lot, especially about marriage. Like when you had Elisa Ben Shalom, you brought up a lot about the Torah and how we find partners and all the marriage, the sacredness of it. Is there anything that you think young Jewish people can bring into their lives from what you've learned?
I always say, be a proud Jew and be you. There's 15 million Jews in the world and 15 million ways to be Jewish. And whatever you do, if it works for you, great. Teach it to somebody else, but don't force it on somebody else. You know, if you're putting on tefillin every morning, do it because it's going to help you have strength of restriction. It's going to help you connect to the God being one rather than one God. But don't say to people, I put on tefillin, you don't, you're not a good Jew. So just be a proud Jew. Be proud of what you come from, and be you. Be what you do. Be whatever it is you do. Don't ever say. I hate people say, "I'm a bad Jew. I drive on Saturday." What is that? It has nothing to do with anything. There's many Jews that don't drive on Saturday, and they're horrible human beings. Horrible human beings. But just be a proud Jew and be you. That's it. Do your Jew. Do your Jew.
Do what Jew want to do.
Yeah.
That's always using the word Jew for you or for do is the best pun of all time. And I say that with a
I can tell by the
bias.
title of your show.
I'll tell you podcast, yeah.
I never imagined in a million years that in 2024 in a city like New York, we would have so much open anti-Semitism, even against not visibly Jewish people. Like, you just have to end up in the wrong place at the wrong time. You could not even have any sign that you're Jewish on you. And I don't know how we move forward from this, but I do know that for the Jewish people, laughter is the best medicine.
100% laughter and a knowing. You have to function with a knowing that we've survived all of this. Some horrible kids in an encampment on Columbia's campus. We've survived much more than that. It was an actual, like a domino effect of I never like to curse, but a shitstorm of these things happening one after the other, between the war and then all the people, siding up with the pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas. They have no idea what they're talking about. They just feel that they're young and they have to be for something, and they have no idea what they're doing and what they're talking about. But if history teaches you anything, we've survived everything. We've survived so much worse than them from years and years, and we always come out stronger and better. And look at the benefit parts of it. After the Holocaust, they said never again. Of course, it's going to be again. People are going to be coming after us always. The never again is that now there is repercussions for everything you do. You attack Israel, you've lost. Palestine is no longer Palestine. It's now a big fat parking lot. So how did that work out for you? It wasn't like you can't just go kill Jews and get away with it. You will feel repercussions. You say the wrong thing at the Senate meeting, you're no longer the president of the university. And it's going to be even more. It's going to be even more, and you'll see that these kids that are with the encampment stuff, it'll come to bite them when they're interviewing for jobs and things of that sort. And they'll go, oh, you were sitting there protesting babies that were murdered on October 7th. You were on the side that was murdering them, saying that we should support them. That'll all come around. It all comes around. It all comes around.
This is reminding me of the Yochai Sponder bit when he was like, they always say never again, but it's now happening again. So they're going to say never, ever again. Never,
no, right.
ever again.
I saw the bit, and Yochai is opening for me in Jerusalem in a week. The never again is that you're never doing it again without repercussions. There is repercussions when you do it. You better be ready for it, This is not the Jews of 1930s Germany. They will attack. They will come back, and you will feel it hard.
A comment and a question on that. So my comment is that the Torah actually has a very clear understanding of the ethical decisions we can make in war. So when the news comes out and accuses Israel that no, they shouldn't have rescued the 4 hostages because it killed 100 Palestinians or however many it is, Torah has a clear explanation of what ought to be done. And the Torah will say that if you need to kill 100 to save 4, you are obligated to do that by the laws of the Torah. There's not an ethical dilemma there in light of the context that these 100 people may or may not actually be innocent, that they're helping the war, that they didn't get out of harm's way, that somebody else is responsible for them. So I have a lot of friends who are struggling now with all of the numbers and the casualties and the ethical dilemmas. And because so much of the news shows that, Israel's committing these crimes. And I always tell them, if it makes you feel better, go ask a rabbi what they would say, because
Right.
The Torah is very clear on how to make these decisions in these situations and what the ethical justification for those decisions is.
Okay. I mean, first of all, the hundreds that died around this were not just from Israel. They were friendly fire. A lot of that was Hamas. Don't forget, it wasn't like they walked in and took 4 hostages and then killed 210 people. Hamas was firing, and they didn't care where they were aiming. They were firing everywhere. So they were firing on their own innocent people. That's a part of it, okay? And as far as Torah goes in war, there is. It's very specific on what happens during war. You have to defend yourself. You have to. There's a retaliation involved. I don't have the specific portions of the Torah where it's all from. I'm not like that, but I know there is. And obviously, it's something you have to go and save these people. And the ones that were killed, there must have been innocent people also. They were by their own people butchered. And the whole thing could have been over just by releasing these hostages. It's not that it's the choice is theirs. The choice is theirs, but they're choosing to see the never again. They're choosing to see that here's your never again. You're holding hostages, here's what happens. And the whole thing, what's really amazing is that you see that the guy that was holding the hostages was an Al Jazeera reporter. The people sitting in the encampment are getting all of their information from people who are holding hostages. They're the ones holding the hostages, and they're sending out, here's what happened with Israel, not mentioning that they had in their basement locked up 3 hostages. So
yeah, it's
what are you
absolute madness. And that kind of brings me to my question that I had was, did the two of you go to the Nova exhibit?
Yes, I went to the Nova exhibit. Yes, I went there. It's an absolute must for everybody. I went there. It was like watching a mini Holocaust. You got to walk through a mini Holocaust. They explain what is the Nova Festival? This thing of peace and transcending this world and being able to connect with people, with godliness, with echad, with oneness through music. One of the women said, you don't hear the music, you feel it in your heart. And they went to do that in the desert, and then they were obviously attacked, and they show you, and then you can go through and watch all the videos, whether they were on cell phones or recorded, Hamas's cell phones, and which you can choose on your own how much you can take. That's what's really nice about the exhibit. You don't get stuck in one video where you're traumatized yourself. And then you go through and you see actual cars that were destroyed there, actual the lost and found, the clothing and shoes, and then you go in, you see the people that were murdered, the people that are hostages, and then there's a little hope. They give you a little hope. They say, we will dance again. You meet with one of the survivors. Leo and I go dancing. We go raving. We go DJs and concerts in Brooklyn, all over, and it could have easily been us there dancing. Could have very easily been us there.
I have to say that when I bought tickets for multiple days because I expected that I would be able to go multiple times and take my non-Jewish friends with me. And then I went the first time and I felt like I was in a nightmare that I couldn't leave because there was so much. I mean, you could spend hours in this exhibit and you wouldn't see every single thing. They have so many items, so many videos, so many photographs. And I just reached a point where I couldn't process all the information that was coming at me. And I realized I can't comprehend this. Like, I felt like I couldn't pay my respects enough to that place. And it felt like a nightmare that I couldn't leave because it was the next room and the next room and the 100th pair of shoe and the 100th car and whatever. And then you meet the actual survivors because they're there. And so I left so sad and traumatized. And I learned so many stories. Like, there was one story of a girl who hid in the ice cream freezer at the festival for hours. It must have been like 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours. And I just could not get myself to go again. It felt like a sacred place. Like, I couldn't just go there again as if it was no big deal.
Yeah.
And kudos to them for creating that experience. It's very, very hard. In some random warehouse in Wall Street, that's been converted. They even brought the sand in. If you go through the first room, they have the sand on the ground. Everything. Yeah. All the items are covered in dirt and sand. It really feels like you're there. And I just felt like it was a sacred place. Something felt different. I haven't even worn the clothes or the shoes that I wore that day when I went to the exhibit.
Wow. Yeah. It's a sacred place. I mean, the most I could do is post about it. So I posted about it, and then Judy Gold, a comedian, a friend of ours, brought a bunch of comedians there yesterday to see it. And then as soon as they walked out, there was the protests in front. So, and a lot of comedians were not Jewish, and they got to see it, and it's mind blowing. But we on our end, mine and Leo's, we focus on laughter. So when you get to our page on Modi_live on Instagram or my website, we're not focusing on the sadness and news and anger. If you want to focus on your anger and you want to show your anger, you can watch Michael Rappaport screaming and yelling about something and relief through that. If you need some insightful historic information, you have Noah Tishby. If you just want to laugh, that's us. So we don't post. Obviously, I posted that I was there and that people should see it, but we don't post like, hey, today 300 rockets landed in northern Israel. That's not what people come to our site and our social media for. And that's what we focus on, just bringing laughter.
It's been amazing to see the people in our community that either have platforms or a clear skill step up into their true purpose. What you're talking about is that you have your own purpose, right? You are fulfilling your purpose. You know what that purpose is, and that's what you mean. And it's been beautiful to see people that either have grown as a result of this or really stepped into big shoes to fill, and how our community has stepped up, miles than what we thought we could do together as a result of this event. And I think we will only be stronger on the other end of this, which everybody says as well. And, one of the things we say about People Do Want to Know is it's the chosen podcast for the chosen people. I always make this joke, but you actually call it, Modi, the choosing people. And I wanted to ask you what you meant by that.
Choosing. You choose how to be Jewish. You choose, and there's no wrong way, as long as you're being a good person. As long as you're being a good person and helping others, there's a menu. Here's, if you want to be Jewish, you can keep the Sabbath, you can put on tefillin, you can put up mezuzahs, you can do what you can. Take from the menu. You don't have to choose it all. It's not all or none. It's do whatever makes you a better person. And that's it.
Amazing. On that note, I want to ask you, what should we expect out of Pause for Laughter, and what can we look forward to?
Pause for Laughter is the tour. It's different material from the Know Your Audience tour. And it's the same. It's the Mashiach energy that creates when people are all laughing at once. And it's not just Jews. It's whoever they bring, whoever is an ally, whoever is a friend of yours, whoever's not Jewish, that brings somebody who they know is Jewish. You should see this comedian. He's Jewish. So are you. You're going to love it. The first tour, Know Your Audience, was amazing. It's going to be just the same. It's going to be just coming together to laugh as one. That's Mashiach energy. And that's what you can expect from Pause for Laughter.
Thank you so much for doing this. This has been a real treat. How can people connect with both of you, keep up with your work and what you're doing?
You can follow Modi on Instagram at Modi_live. You can check out his website, www.modilive.com. While you're there, you should fill out the contact form, and you will be subscribed to his newsletter. So whenever we add new shows, you'll be the first to know. You should definitely go to YouTube to look for Know Your Audience, the special. If you don't want to watch it with commercials on YouTube, then you can also rent it on Amazon Prime. I think it's like $4.99 or something like that. So you can make a night of it. And yeah, more to come.
Leo, you have to drop your Instagram handle because we've seen the shower video, okay? The video in the shower. We've seen it. That's good material, okay?
My Instagram is Leo, Leo _ Veiga, Veiga _. So it's my first name _ last name _. There you can see the famous shower video. I haven't been posting that much, but yeah, I'm mostly on Modi's Instagram.
Leo is such a dark horse, like a man of mystery, okay? A man of few words, but under there's a lot of personality.
No, I have a lot of words. I try not to cut Modi off when he's talking about Judaism.
Well, is there anything that you want to share in your experience of the last 8 months, or just shifting your work to focus more on helping Modi's tours and Modi's shows? And there are a lot of skills that you've probably learned that you weren't taught how to do them. No one just up and learns how to produce a show successfully or direct a special successfully. You have to have a little bit of scrappiness and skill and intelligence. How do you think you've managed that?
Whenever I don't know how to do something, I just break it down into baby steps, and I focus on the next most immediate, most accomplishable task. And that's how they say, how do you eat an elephant? And it's one bite at a time. So you don't know how to produce a show. Where do you want to do it? Like, for example, when I produced your last shows in London in February of 2023, we didn't have a promoter to partner with us on that. So I reached out to the venue. I asked what they needed from me. I sent them a deposit to rent the space. I got the tickets on sale. So and then before you know it, we had 5 shows in London that were sold out. So I guess that's my only sort of takeaway or advice for someone who's trying to do something new or trying to do something that they want to do, just to break it down into baby steps, and you can figure it out.
There's a fancy business word for this that my brother taught me. I think it's called microtasking, which I didn't know. He was telling me he had some like internship interview. My brother's 19, and he was like, they asked me how I manage problems, and I told them I do microtasking. And I was like, what?
Yeah. They love a buzzword.
So that's the resume skill right there. Microtasking.
Microtasking, yeah.
Whenever I think about your Europe shows, I always remember this woman that you had on who talked about how to get an Hermes bag and how she would go in there and she wouldn't leave until they sold her a bag, and they would tell her, oh, we don't have inventory or whatever. She's like, no, you do. It's in the bag.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is Dina. Iconic.
People love those episodes.
Yeah.
We all know those people who know how to get to a yes. And hearing that gave me so much confidence, not necessarily about buying a bag, but just about being persistent on whatever 100%. It is. It's just a little bit of confidence. And I'm sure nobody even blinked an eye when she pushed back.
I learned persistence from her. From Dina, I learned persistence. There is persistence in there. And not just in ridiculous things like an Hermes bag and helping people. You know, how to stay persistent. Don't just give up when a doctor says something. And it's very important to be persistent and patience.
So that will stick with me forever.
Yeah, it's good.
Just that funny story. And that's the thing about laughter is humor is very memorable. So you can teach important life lessons through the form of a joke. And that's how you do it, because even in your material, it's very, very Jewish. It's very Jewish values that are intertwined with something that seems so simple. Like I can hear you whispering like you're on a helicopter. I can hear you from New Jersey. Like even that, it feels very Jewish.
Oh, there's a Jewish voice. It's a Jewish voice. That's why I'm a Jewish comedian, not just a regular comedian who happens to be Jewish.
And so my last question for you, it's one that I ask all of my guests. So take a moment to think on it if you need. But who would you like to nominate for People Jew Want to Know podcast? Another remarkable Jewish person.
I think people should meet Rabbi Yisroel Gross, Yoikel Gross. He's a 93-year-old Holocaust survivor. And he is full of unbelievable stories. And that's a Jew people should meet. He's a very special person.
Thank you so much for that nomination. Leo, Modi, it has been such a privilege to share your story on People Jew Want to Know podcast. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you, Margarita. Thank you.
If you've enjoyed this podcast, please go ahead and rate us 5 stars. Be the first to hear our episodes by subscribing to People Jew Want to Know wherever you get your podcasts. And for exclusive content, follow us on Instagram at People Jew Want to Know.